Welcome to a video from 77B. This is our first video on this channel, and today we are going to react to the recent IMSA WeatherTech sports car race at Road America. So, for the uninitiated, the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship is the premier American sports car endurance championship, and it is governed by IMSA, International Motorsports Association. I'm going to give a fairly brief overview of the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. So there are 4 classes in WeatherTech. We have Daytona Prototype International, DPI, Le Mans Prototype 2, LMP2, GT Le Mans, GTLM, and GT Daytona, GTD. We'll start with the 2 prototype classes, and we'll start with DPI. So DPI is the fastest class of car within the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. They are based on LMP2 cars, but the teams that run them, they have full factory, so they have full support from the manufacturer that makes DPI cars. So the manufacturers that make the DPI cars are Cadillac, Mazda, and Acura. And because these cars have full support, it follows the term saying that more money means a faster car. So moving on from DPI, we now move on to LMP2. So LMP2, the same LMP2 you will find in another certain endurance championship. So these are the So LMP2 cars are run by customer teams. So that's mainly the difference between LMP2 and DPI. DPI, both cars are based on an LMP2 chassis, but DPIs are, but the teams that run in DPI, they have full support from the companies from the car manufacturers that make the DPI cars. Whereas for the LMP2 teams, the team have to use their own budget in order to maintain both their car and their driver lineup. So moving on from the prototype classes, we move on to the 2 sports car classes, GTLM and GTD. We'll start with GTLM. So GTLM is the factory are cars that are so first off, GTLM and GTD are race cars that are based on regular road production cars. So stuff like the Lexus RCF GT3, that's a race car version of the Lexus RCF that you see on the road. The BMW M8 GTE, it's a race car version it's a race car version of the regular BMW M8 that you see on the road as well. So you get the picture here. There are 2 big differences between GTLM and GTD. We'll start with GTLM. GTLM is the factory-backed, is the class in which the cars have full factory backing from the from the car manufacturer that makes the car. So in GTLM we have Chevrolet, Porsche, BMW, and I think we are missing one more. All right, never mind. So it's just Chevrolet, BMW, and Porsche, and each of those car companies have their own team in IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car, and those manufacturers pour all of their money into maintaining their cars and their driver lineup. In GTD, a customer team signs an agreement, signs a contract with a car company. They get the race car from that company, but they have to manage the car and their team with their own budget. They don't have full support from the car company that's supplying the cars for the customer team. So GTLM and GTD are very similar to is quite similar to DPI and LMP2, except that the former two classes are cars that are based off of regular production cars that you see on the road. I hope that was a very good short overview of the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. So before we get into our thoughts, I want to go over the results. So Road America happened on August 2nd, but IMSA released a video showing the full race today, actually, earlier today. So here are the results. So first place, both in class and overall position, is the Acura Team Penske Acura DPI, driven by Ricky Taylor and Elio Castroneves. Second place in DPI was the Konica Minolta Cadillac DPI, driven by Renger van de Zande and Ryan Briscoe. And rounding out the podium is another Cadillac DPI, this time the Wellen Engineering Cadillac, driven by Felipe Nasser and Pipo Derani. Moving on to LMP2, Ben Hanley and Henrik Hedman's Dragon Speed Orica LMP2 takes the class win in LMP2, followed by the Performance Tech Orica, driven by James French and Cameron Castles. Rounding out the LMP2 podium is the Aero Motorsports Orica, driven by Kyle Tilley and Dwight Merriman. In GTLM, Corvette Racing's Antonio Garcia and Jordan Taylor take the class win in the Corvette C8R. In second place is the sister Corvette C8R, driven by Tommy Milner and Oliver Gavin. And rounding out the podium in GTLM is the BMW Team RLL and BMW M8 GTE of Jesse Krohn and John Edwards. Finally, in GTD, Townsend Bell and Frankie Montecalvo in the Aim Sullivan Lexus RCF take the class win in GTD, followed by Mario Farnbacher and Matt McMurray in the Heinricher Racing with Meyershank Racing Acura NSX. Rounding out the podium in GTD is the sister Aim Sullivan Lexus RCF, driven by Jack Hawksworth and Aaron Telitz. Without further ado, let's talk about our thoughts. So, Sachin, your turn.
So what I have seen is for number 55 Mazda DPI, I've seen that the overtake between number 55 Mazda and number 6 Acura Penske was that there was like a tight overtake in the 5th or 6th lap of the IMSA race earlier today.
Yeah, I think that was coming out of. I'm trying to carry on. I'm trying to think about what corner that was.
I believe it must have been like the 2nd or 3rd corner.
No, it was definitely not that. I think it was like the 5th or 6th corner. I want to say it was the 5th or 6th corner. But yeah, I know where you're getting onto that. Like how the number 6 Acura went across to the left to try and defend that position, right?
Yes, that's right.
And I think that was more like the Acura's fault, because that was way too aggressive defending. What about you?
I totally agree with you that the defending was quite aggressive, which resulted him and pitting because of the damage he caused
Yeah,
on
yeah, the
himself.
punctures. That was a bit careless, if I have to be honest. And looking at the results here from IMSA's official website, it really didn't help the number 6 Acura that much, because they are classified as dead last in the DPI category.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Any more thoughts?
I was proud of Corvette Racing,
Yeah, Corvette.
number
Yeah,
3 and number 4, Corvette Racing,
yeah.
of how they managed to successfully get into the top two in the podium at the end of the
At
IMSA
the
race.
Yeah, at the end of the race. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I'm a supporter of Corvette Racing. Um, and I was enthralled when Corvette Racing took their second consecutive 1-2 in the 2020 season. I mean, like, they've already won. They've already won the past couple of races ever since IMSA restarted the WeatherTech sports car season at Daytona a month ago. It's basically been like a dominance for Corvette Racing since the Daytona 240 back in July, late July. So yeah, like Corvette Racing wins again. Very like they seem to be having their they seem to have held their heads up pretty high.
That's true.
Yeah,
And I was quite shocked at how one of the BMW MAGTEs, number 24 and number 25, how they managed to go off road at the same time when one of the 911s went off road.
yeah.
I don't understand how.
I was looked. I mean, like, I looked at, like, they showed a replay from the inside of the number 25 BMW, and like from like I forgot if the Felipe or Spengler was in the car, but the driver, like, he was twisting the steering wheel, and I was suspecting that, like, the 911 the 911 the 911 911, it's quite weird to say. The 911 got up on the inside of the number 25 of the 25 BMW, but I think it was more like he couldn't, like, the 911 couldn't, like, make the move stick, and just maybe, like, crashed into the back of the 25 BMW. That's what I thought.
It could be a possibility, or maybe he lost traction or hydroplane because of the
Yeah,
horrible weather conditions they faced at the end of the IMSA
yeah.
race.
I would like to mention that this race reminded me a lot of the F1 Brazilian Grand Prix back in 2019,
Mhm.
as well as the most recent the most recent F1 British Grand Prix, because, like, they were fair. I mean, there was a fair amount of action early in the race, but it wasn't like there wasn't it was just a bit mundane, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
It was very mundane at the beginning, but then, like, at the later stages, like, at like the end of the race, it just kicked off like crazy,
Mhm.
and that was all because of one factor: rain. Um, yeah, rain really does affect a race quite a lot.
Yeah, it does have a huge impact
Yeah,
on the race.
like,
Quite.
we saw a couple of cars go off, right?
Oh yeah, totally. We saw like more than like probably more than two cars that went off road.
Yeah. I think the first car we saw to go off from the rain was the number 31 Welland Engineering Cadillac. I mean, great recovery from Durrani, like, from crashing into the tire wall to standing on the podium. That I'll give credit to him. That was a nice recovery.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then we saw I think it was the Era Motorsport LMP2 car that just kept on spinning and It just kept on go. That just it felt like that. It felt like it had a magnet attached to it, and the magnet was like getting attracted to the grass because like we just kept on seeing that car spinning out, like going onto the grass, and then spinning onto the grass. Like it was a bit, it was a bit like I feel like it was just attracted to the grass too much.
Hmm. I think I read one of the Cadillacs that decided to make not so smart move and decided to try to overtake a faster car that's faster than him, which resulted in causing him to drop several places on the podium because of
Which
the
one? Which one
not
was
so
that?
smart mistake.
Which one was that?
Not exactly sure. I remember it was a blue Cadillac. I don't exactly remember the number, but I remember it was a Cadillac that went off road because of trying to overtake a faster car.
Sorry if my buddy here he doesn't know much because he's really new to endurance racing. So if you guys are watching, please don't slam him. Like he's new to endurance racing. Just give him some time to get used to these types of races. So the Cadillac that went up. The only thing that I can remember from the video from that race was when I think it was the number 25 BMW. He tried to like he tried like he was basically giving was it the what was it, the number 5 Cadillac. The only thing I can remember based on your description from the race was when the number 25 Cadillac was basically like not obeying to the no, number 25 BMW was not obeying to the number 5 Cadillac, and as a result, like the Cadillac Cadillac went onto the grass, and then dirty tires, tried to brake, but had no grip, and then just went off into the grass. Is, is that like what you had in mind?
Yeah, that was something like that that I had in mind.
Yeah, because if that's what you had in mind, I agree with you. That was a really stupid move because these types of races, it's a multi-class race. So there are faster cars racing against slower cars. So there's a faster car racing against a slower car, and there are like faster cars racing against slower cars, and like the point of like one of the main things in endurance racing that you should not do is fight against a car that is faster that is in a faster class than your car, or else it's not going to end up well for both you and that class of car.
True.
So
And
yeah,
one
what?
thing,
Yeah, go on.
the one thing that I found very impressive in this IMSA race was how number 55 Mazda and number 6 Acura Team Penske, the overtake of the Lexus in the IMSA race was quite impressive. Like how tight gap they left for
Oh yeah.
the Lexus
So,
and tried to
they
overtake.
yeah
It
they
was
were
impressive.
giving yeah they were a kid like they were like they were just like they were all like every single like driver, like in some of the categories of like the class of cars, like they like the drivers were like not giving like any fricks about each other. They were just hard charging at it. Like that's determined. That's hardcore racing right there. That's real racing at its finest right there. That was yeah. I agree with you on that. That was really good racing there.
Oh yeah, true.
I would like to point out that the number 7 Acura that made the overtake on the 55 and 77 Mazda.
Hmm.
You're like down at I think corner 5. Like like Castro Neves, he late braked. He late braked both the 55 and the 77. Went around the outside of the 77 to take. I think it actually was for first place. Remember that move?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that
when
was
he was
that
trying to
was a
overtake.
that was a really good move.
Oh, true. Yeah, that was really good.
Really risky, really risky move because late breaking like that like late breaking it's really hard to get late breaking moves done right.
True. It can also result in many risks.
It can result in you like meeting meeting a wall, but Castro Neves late breaking, passing the 77 around the outside of I think turn 5 for first place, like that, and not at the end of the race, but like early in the race, like that was textbook stuff right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I do want to mention that I actually mentioned earlier that the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship was similar to a certain to another certain endurance championship. I don't. Yeah, I do want to clear that out before we carry on. So, what the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship does have a relative. It's it's called the FIA World Endurance Championship, or FIA WEC for short. It's it's sort of the same. It's sort of the same thing as the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, except that there's a class, except that like the most fastest class are cars that are not based on LMP2 chassis. So and like that class, of course, is called LMP1.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to point that I do want to get that out of the way, and before we continue on. So let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, there was supposed to be a car that that was supposed to start but didn't, and unfortunately I did not hear that much from Shea Adam in the race. I wasn't really paying attention to Shea Adam in the race, but it was the number 23 Aston Martin Vantage, driven by Ian James and Roman DeAngelis. So, unfortunately, I really wasn't paying attention to why it didn't start. So I'm just gonna say that and leave it there. So, what else is there as well? Oh yeah, the 911 Porsche, the number 911 Porsche. Uh, quite a sad. I mean, quite a sad one for that car because um it was, I think it was the first GTLM car to get caught out by the sudden rain. Remember that, Sachin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just kept, it went at like a very high speed into it just like lost control and then found itself into the tire wall, and then to add more insult to injury, like it had we heard John Hindhaugh saying that like the 911 was low on fuel, and then to add even more insult to injury, it then had the collision with the number 25 BMW. Remember that?
Oh.
Yeah, that was quite a massive pain in a massive pain within Nick Tandy. Nick Tandy.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. You got any more to go?
Not really.
Yeah, I think I'm also done with. Yeah, I think that's all I can, like all the noteworthy all the noteworthy like things that I can remember from that race. So again, like this is our first video, and so this is our first video, so it's not gonna be the best one, but thanks for tuning in, and yeah, have a great evening. Bye.